The vastness of space stretched out, dark and empty. Far beyond the reaches of Earth's atmosphere, a battle was about to begin. On the bridge of the Triton, Commander Alex Carter stood staring out into the void. His heart raced. Earth had never faced anything like this before. The Galactic Empire's fleet loomed ahead. A seemingly endless wall of towering dreadnoughts and warships, their weapons powered up, ready to strike. And then there was Earth's fleet, a small collection of ships cobbled together from every corner of the planet. Old military ships, civilian transport vessels, and newly designed fighters, nothing compared to the Empire's massive armada. It wasn't much, but it was all humanity had. As the two fleets faced each other, the weight of the situation settled in. Commander Carter could feel the tension in the air. The enemy's fleet was far superior in every way. Hundreds of dreadnoughts with powerful weapons, ships that could destroy entire cities with a single blast. And yet Carter wasn't afraid. He knew that Earth had something the Empire didn't, something no one in the galaxy expected. On the bridge of an Empire command ship, Admiral Zarek stood looking down at Earth's fleet, his face twisted into a smug grin. "This will be over before it even begins," he said, his voice cold and filled with contempt. Zarek's officers laughed as they looked at the tiny, scattered ships of Earth. "They think they can stop us with this. How quaint," one of them sneered. "We've crushed entire civilizations. What makes these humans so special?" Zarek's laughter echoed through the control room. He didn't even bother to take the humans seriously. Their fleet was no match for the might of the Empire. He turned to his communications officer. "Tell our fleet to move into position. Let's finish this. We'll crush them in an hour." As the Empire's fleet moved forward, their weapons charging, Earth's fleet remained still. The silence was deafening. For the first time in history, Earth was facing an enemy that truly outclassed them in every way. Yet there was something different about these humans. They weren't going to just surrender. They had a plan, and they were going to make the Empire regret their arrogance. The ships of Earth were small compared to the Empire's, but they had the determination and courage that the Empire lacked. Commander Carter looked at his crew, knowing that they were about to face the fight of their lives. He gave a simple command: "Prepare to engage." As Earth's fleet powered up, the sound of the engines humming filled the bridge of the Triton. Carter's eyes narrowed. He could hear the laughter of the Empire's officers in his mind, mocking them, but he refused to be shaken. He had trained for this moment his whole life. Earth had no choice but to fight. There was no going back. The first shots were fired. Empire lasers shot across the empty space, their beams hitting the first wave of Earth's ships. A couple of human fighters were instantly obliterated, but Earth's fleet didn't retreat. They didn't flinch. Instead, they kept pushing forward, determined to prove that they were more than the Empire had bargained for. The battle raged on, Earth's ships firing back with everything they had. The Empire's ships fired in return, obliterating more human vessels with each blast. It was a massacre. The odds were stacked against Earth, and it seemed like there was no way out. Yet in the chaos, something strange began to happen. A few of Earth's ships weren't falling like the rest. They were moving with precision, using the surrounding asteroids as cover, launching coordinated strikes that the Empire didn't expect. One by one, smaller Empire ships began to falter, their shields crackling as they took hits from Earth's fighters. Commander Carter grinned. It wasn't much, but it was a start. This wasn't just a desperate fight for survival anymore. It was a fight to prove that Earth would not be bullied. But it was clear the Empire still didn't take them seriously. The battle continued, and each passing moment seemed to build up more tension. Carter could sense that if they didn't do something soon, they would lose everything. Yet, as Earth's fleet continued to put up a fight, a strange sense of hope flickered. Earth had been underestimated, and the Empire's laughter, once so confident, was beginning to fade. The tide of the battle was still uncertain, but there was one thing that Earth had, something far more important than the ships, the weapons, or the technology. They had the will to fight, And that was something the Empire had not accounted for. Admiral Zarek stood tall in the command center of his flagship, the Harbinger, watching the battle unfold. His hands were folded behind his back, and his face held a confident smirk. The human fleet, despite their desperate resistance, was crumbling. His fleet's firepower was far beyond anything Earth could muster, and each blast from the Empire's weapons shattered Earth's ships into pieces. He had no doubt this would be over quickly. The humans had no chance. "Admiral, Earth's fleet is still trying to hold their ground," a lieutenant reported nervously. "But it's no use. Their ships are getting wiped out one by one." Zarek glanced at the lieutenant, his eyes cold. "I told you this would be easy. Just a few primitive humans with their pathetic fleet. Nothing to worry about." The officer hesitated. "But sir, there's something strange. The human ships, some of them, are using the asteroids around them for cover. They've set up defensive formations that we didn't expect." Zarek raised an eyebrow. "What are you talking about?" "They're just delaying the inevitable. No one can withstand our firepower for long." Even as he spoke, another explosion echoed across the battlefield, this time from a small human fighter that managed to get a lucky shot in. The blast tore through an enemy ship's shield, sending it spiraling out of control before it exploded. The lieutenant pointed to the screen, his eyes wide with disbelief. "That fighter, how did they manage to do that?" Zarek frowned and turned his attention to the tactical display. His fleet had already obliterated dozens of Earth's ships, but now there were more explosions coming from human vessels. They weren't retreating. They were striking back. The humans had no advanced weapons, no superior technology. Their ships were outdated, and yet they were doing more damage than anticipated. "They must be using stolen technology," Zarek muttered. "How else could they have pulled that off? Prepare for a full offensive. Let's put an end to this charade once and for all." As Zarek gave the order, the fleet of the Galactic Empire closed in, unleashing a volley of destructive energy at Earth's ships. The humans fought valiantly, but it was clear that they were outmatched. A large section of Earth's fleet was destroyed in seconds. The void of space lit up with bright flashes as ships were torn apart. Yet, something kept the humans fighting. Even though they were losing, they were fighting back with a kind of desperation that Zarek had never seen. Every ship was determined to do as much damage as possible before they were destroyed. Meanwhile, Commander Carter stood at the helm of the Triton, his eyes never leaving the battle unfolding before him. His heart ached as he watched Earth's ships fall, one by one, but he kept his focus. He knew the Empire underestimated them. He knew they didn't understand what Earth was capable of. "Stay in formation," Carter ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "We are not backing down. This fight is just getting started." The fleet had taken heavy losses. Fighters and warships were being torn apart with every blast from the Empire's massive guns. But Carter had a plan they had been preparing for years. The human ships weren't as powerful as the Empire's Dreadnoughts, but they had something the Empire didn't: a determination to survive at any cost. The battle was reaching its peak. More and more Earth ships were destroyed, but the survivors kept pressing forward. They weren't just fighting for themselves. They were fighting for their families, their homes, their entire species. No one was willing to give up. As Earth's fleet continued to take a beating, Admiral Zarek's confidence grew. He could see the humans faltering. He was right. This was going to be easy. The Empire had crushed planets with armies and weapons far stronger than anything Earth could ever produce. Earth's fleet was weak, and no amount of bravery could change that. "Admiral," one of the officers called, "we've received reports from the scouts. Earth's fleet is down to a fraction of their original size. Their remaining ships are retreating." Zarek's smirk returned. "I knew it. They thought they could stand against the Empire. Now they're running. Prepare to finish this once and for all. Fire at will." Just as he was about to issue the final command, however, something unexpected happened. The tactical screen flashed with a warning. A group of Earth's remaining ships had begun to shift positions, moving into an unanticipated formation. It wasn't retreating. It was regrouping. Zarek squinted at the screen. What is this? A last-ditch effort. But as the human ships came together in their new formation, something large began to emerge from behind the nearby asteroid field, something that the Empire had not seen before. A ship. A ship so large that it dwarfed every dreadnought in the Empire's fleet. It was massive, more advanced than anything Earth had ever built. And there was more to it. As the ship powered up, it revealed the truth. Earth had hidden something this whole time. Something that could change everything. Zarek's eyes widened. No, this can't be. How did they? The battle was far from over, and Earth's fleet had just revealed their most dangerous secret. Admiral Zarek's face went pale as the massive new human ship emerged from the asteroid field. For a brief moment, there was a stunned silence on the command bridge of the Harbinger. Even the officers around him froze, staring at the colossal shape that now loomed in the distance. This isn't possible, Zarek muttered to himself. His eyes darted across the tactical display, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. The ship, huge, almost unfathomably large, was slowly powering up. It dwarfed anything Earth had shown before, and the scale of it alone sent a wave of unease through his seasoned nerves. Admiral, should we prepare for engagement? One of his officers asked, but the uncertainty in his voice was clear. Zarek turned his cold gaze to the officer. No, don't fire yet. He took a deep breath, trying to regain his composure. His confidence in the Empire's power had never wavered before, but something about this massive ship made him rethink his strategy. The humans had somehow kept it hidden, and now it was in the heart of the battle, ready to strike. He didn't know what kind of weaponry the humans had packed into this giant ship, but he couldn't afford to make the wrong move. It was clear they had been planning this for a long time. Back on Earth's fleet, Commander Carter gripped the edge of his command console. He was aware of the gravity of the situation. He'd just revealed humanity's trump card, and there was no turning back. The Phoenix, the ship now making its way to the center of the battle, was Earth's greatest secret. Built in the deepest parts of Earth's most secure military bases, it was a project that had taken decades to develop. Until now, it had been hidden from everyone, even the most powerful beings in the galaxy. But now, in their most desperate hour, Earth's hidden weapon was their only chance. Phoenix is online, the communications officer said, his voice tight. We're ready to engage, Commander. Good, Carter said, his voice steady but tinged with the weight of responsibility. He turned to his crew. This is it. We've trained for this moment. Keep your focus. We're not just fighting for survival anymore. We're fighting to show the galaxy what humanity is capable of. The Phoenix wasn't just any ship. It was an enormous dreadnought, equipped with advanced tech that was unlike anything the Galactic Empire had ever seen. The ship's hull was reinforced with a new alloy that made it nearly impervious to the Empire's energy blasts. Its weapon systems included experimental energy cannons that could cut through even the strongest shields. But the most dangerous part wasn't the ship itself, it was the crew. Each officer, each soldier, was prepared to fight with everything they had. The Phoenix slowly moved forward, positioning itself at the center of Earth's remaining fleet. Carter's heart raced as the ship's engines powered up. This was humanity's final stand. Back on the Harbinger, Zarek was analyzing the information. The Phoenix was showing up on his radar now, and it was massive. His tactical officers were working at a frantic pace, trying to assess the ship's capabilities. They couldn't figure out exactly what it was armed with, but one thing was clear. This ship was a force to be reckoned with. We have no idea what we're up against, one officer reported. It's bigger than anything we've ever seen, and its energy readings are off the charts. We can't match that firepower. Zarek scowled. We'll see about that. I won't let this planet defeat the Empire. He turned to his weapons officer. Fire everything we've got at it. Don't hold back. But even as the orders were being given, Zarek couldn't shake the feeling that this wouldn't be as easy as he thought. He watched as his fleet prepared to fire, massive cannons charging with deadly energy. The tension in the air was palpable. Both sides were gearing up for a clash of unimaginable proportions. The Phoenix fired first. In the blink of an eye, the massive ship released an intense burst of energy from its main cannon. The beam cut through space, moving faster than the eye could see. It collided with one of the Empire's dreadnoughts, and the explosion was catastrophic. The entire ship disintegrated, turning into a cloud of debris that scattered across the battlefield. Zarek's jaw tightened as he watched. The Phoenix had just wiped out one of his most powerful ships with a single shot. He had never seen anything like it. The human ship wasn't just strong, it was lethal. And the humans weren't done yet. The Phoenix fired again, this time targeting another Empire vessel. A second dreadnought was obliterated. Now, the Empire's confidence was crumbling. Earth's fleet, though small, was holding its own. No, it was starting to dominate. Zarek stood frozen for a moment, his mind racing. What have we underestimated? These humans, they have something we don't understand. On the Triton, Commander Carter felt a rush of triumph as the Phoenix's shots rang true. They had done it. They had struck back. But there was no time to celebrate. The battle was far from over, and the Empire wouldn't back down so easily. "Keep up the fire," Carter ordered. "This is just the beginning. We've got them on the ropes, but we need to finish this fight." Earth's fleet wasn't done yet. The Phoenix was the key to turning the tide, but Carter knew the battle was far from won. The Empire might be stunned, but their arrogance still made them dangerous. The real fight was just beginning, and Earth's fleet wasn't backing down. The Phoenix tore through space, its massive weapons charging up with deadly energy. Zarek's worst fears were coming to life. Earth had been hiding its true strength all along, and now it was unleashed in the form of the Phoenix. The sight of his ships being destroyed with every blast from the human vessel sent shockwaves through the Empire's ranks. The Empire's fleet had been the pinnacle of military power for centuries, and yet here was a force from a primitive planet, Earth, shattering their invincibility. "Admiral, we're losing ships at an alarming rate," an officer reported, panic creeping into his voice. "The Phoenix is unstoppable. We need to reconsider our strategy." Zarek was silent, his mind working furiously. This was no longer just a matter of victory. It was about survival. The Phoenix had turned the tide of the battle, and the human fleet, once small and insignificant, was now becoming a formidable force. Zarek knew he had to act fast before the battle slipped completely out of his control. "Prepare to fall back," Zarek barked. "We're not here to be destroyed. Order the fleet to retreat. We'll regroup, and then we'll find a way to deal with this threat." The order for retreat went out across the Empire's fleet. The remaining dreadnoughts, though still powerful, were no match for the Phoenix and its advanced weapons. Earth's ships were closing in fast, determined to finish the job while the Empire was still reeling. In the heart of the battle, Commander Carter could see the Empire's fleet starting to retreat. His heart raced with adrenaline. The Phoenix had turned the tide, but the fight wasn't over yet. The Empire wouldn't simply run. They would regroup, and they would be back. But this was the moment they had been waiting for. The human fleet had dealt a blow that the Empire would not easily forget. "We've got them on the run," Carter said to his crew, his voice steady but filled with determination. "Don't let up. We'd fought too hard to let them escape." The fleet continued to press forward, their ships firing relentlessly. But Zarek's retreat order had already been executed. One by one, the remaining Empire ships turned, and the massive fleet began to withdraw. "Do we pursue, Commander?" an officer on the Triton asked, voice tense. "If we keep pressing, we can destroy them all." Carter paused for a moment, his mind weighing the options. The human fleet had taken heavy losses. Despite their new strength, they were still outnumbered. Pushing too far could cost them everything. "No," Carter finally said, shaking his head. "We've done enough for today. The Empire will never forget what we've shown them. We've made our mark. Let's pull back and regroup." The Phoenix powered down its weapons, and the fleet started to withdraw. The Empire's fleet was retreating into the void, but the battle had been a devastating blow to their pride. The humans had fought with everything they had, and they had won, at least for now. Back on the Harbinger, Zarek clenched his fists as he watched the retreating human fleet. He had never expected to lose to such a small force. His pride had been shattered. The Empire was known for its technological superiority, its dominance across the galaxy, and its ability to crush any resistance. But this time, a primitive species had turned the tables on them. "Admiral," a communications officer spoke cautiously, "the human fleet is pulling back." Zarek's face darkened with rage. "Let them pull back. They may have won this battle, but the war is far from over. We'll come back stronger." As he spoke, he couldn't help but feel the weight of defeat on his shoulders. The Empire had been humiliated. And worse, Earth had shown that they were capable of far more than anyone had imagined. This was just the beginning. The Phoenix wasn't just a ship. It was a symbol of everything the Empire had underestimated about humanity. Zarek knew the humans would be coming for more than just their fleet now. They would come for the Empire itself. Earth's victory. Back on Earth, the mood was one of cautious optimism. Commander Carter stood on the bridge of the Triton, looking at the damage from the battle. The victory was hard-earned. Earth had lost many ships, many good people, but they had struck the first blow in what could be the start of an intergalactic war that would reshape the galaxy forever. The crew of the Triton was silent for a moment, taking in the magnitude of what they had just accomplished. Then one of the officers spoke up. "Commander, we did it. We showed them that we're not just a small, insignificant planet. We're a force to be reckoned with." Carter nodded, though his mind was already turning to the future. "Yes, we've made our mark, but the Empire isn't done. This is just the beginning. We need to prepare for the next phase. They won't take this defeat lightly." As the fleet began its return journey to Earth, Carter's thoughts drifted to the battle ahead. The Empire would surely be back, stronger and more determined than ever. But one thing had changed forever. The Galactic Empire now knew that Earth was not to be underestimated. Earth had the power to fight back, and that was a message the Empire would never forget. Back on Earth, the victory over the Galactic Empire was met with both celebration and deep reflection. Commander Carter stood before a large digital map of the galaxy, surrounded by his senior officers and military strategists. The room was filled with quiet murmurs, but beneath the surface, there was an undeniable sense of urgency. "Yes, we won," Carter said, his voice calm but carrying the weight of responsibility. "But the Empire won't rest. They've been defeated before, and we have to be ready for their retaliation." Admiral Rourke, a seasoned veteran of many space battles, leaned forward. "Commander, the Empire will come back. They've always seen themselves as superior, and this defeat will hurt their pride. We may have caught them off guard, but next time, they'll be prepared for us. We need to strengthen our forces." Carter nodded. He had already anticipated this. Earth's victory, while monumental, was only the first step in a much longer fight. The Empire's retreat had been a temporary setback for them, but Earth's fleet had paid a heavy price. They had lost many ships, and the damage to the Phoenix was substantial. Repairs would take time, and Earth's forces were spread thin. "We need to build more ships like the Phoenix," Carter said, determination hardening his words. "We need to be able to face whatever the Empire throws at us. If they come back, we need to show them that Earth is no longer weak." In the hangar bay, engineers worked tirelessly on the Phoenix. The massive Dreadnought was in the midst of repairs, with teams of workers ensuring the energy cannons were recalibrated and the damaged sections of the ship were reinforced. It was a symbol of humanity's strength, But it also revealed Earth's vulnerability. Without the Phoenix, they had little hope of surviving another full-scale assault from the Empire. As the repairs continued, Carter took a moment to reflect on the humanity that had made all of this possible. It wasn't just technology that had given them the upper hand. It was human ingenuity, determination, and sheer willpower. Earth had been underestimated by the Empire for too long, and now they had a chance to prove that they were no longer the underdog. Back in space, the Empire's fleet had indeed begun to regroup. On the Harbinger, Zarek paced back and forth, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts. His first instinct was to attack again, to crush Earth's fleet before it could fully recover. But a voice inside him told him that rushing in without proper preparation would be disastrous. Earth had already proven that they could outsmart and outfight the Empire. And the last thing Zarek needed was to walk right into another trap. "Admiral," his communications officer spoke cautiously, "our intelligence suggests that Earth is not just repairing its ships. They're building new ones. We believe they're planning to expand their fleet. They're preparing for another round." Zarek stopped pacing and turned to the officer. "So they think they can stand against us again." He clenched his fists. "We'll see about that. But we can't underestimate them. Earth's fleet has proven it can be deadly when forced to fight for survival." Zarek turned to his senior officers. "We'll need to hit them harder next time. We need to wipe out their ships before they can rebuild. Send word to the fleet commanders. We'll prepare for a full-scale assault. This time, we won't give them the chance to surprise us." Rising tensions. Back on Earth, preparations were underway for a future that was becoming increasingly uncertain. The Galactic Empire was regrouping, and Earth's fleet, though strengthened by the Phoenix, was still outnumbered. Carter stood at the head of a strategic meeting with his top commanders. "We've shown them that we can win," Carter said, looking at the faces of the officers around the table. "But now we need to turn our attention to what comes next. The Empire will attack again. We need to be ready for them." His officers exchanged nervous glances. The first victory had emboldened them, but the reality of the situation was setting in. Earth had to act quickly. They couldn't afford to wait for the Empire to strike first again. They needed to take the initiative. "Sir," Commander Zhang spoke up, "we've been analyzing the Empire's past tactics. Based on their behavior after the first defeat, we can predict they'll come at us with everything they've got. They'll target our production lines and shipyards first." Carter looked over at Zhang. "I agree. We need to protect our assets. Our fleet isn't large enough to defend every shipyard, but we can fortify our key locations and set traps. We'll use their arrogance against them. One thing is certain," Admiral Work said, his voice grave. "They'll come back stronger. We've caught them by surprise, but the Empire's pride is a dangerous thing. They won't just seek to crush us. They'll want to humiliate us." Carter clenched his fists. "They will never have the satisfaction of doing that again. We'll be ready." The calm before the storm. As Earth's fleet continued to strengthen, the human military worked in unison, gathering intelligence, building defenses, and improving their technology. The Empire had no idea what was coming next. The Phoenix was just the beginning. Humanity was adapting at an alarming rate. They had learned quickly, and now they were ready to face the Empire head-on. Meanwhile, on the Harbinger, Zarek's resolve grew stronger. The time for hesitation was over. The next attack would be swift and brutal. He knew that the battle for Earth wasn't just about defeating the fleet. It was about sending a message. If the Empire didn't crush this threat now, they would lose their hold on the galaxy. And Zarek wasn't about to let that happen. He had seen the power of Earth's fleet, but he was determined to show them that the Empire could never be beaten. It was a war of survival now. Who would be left standing when the dust settled? The months following the first defeat were tense for Earth. With each passing day, humanity's military forces grew stronger, but so did the Galactic Empire's resolve. The Empire had never faced an opponent like this before, and now their pride demanded retribution. Zarek, on the Harbinger, had spent countless hours studying Earth's defenses and preparing for the next battle. This time, he would make sure there were no surprises. "We cannot afford another defeat," Zarek muttered, staring at the holographic map before him. His officers stood in silence, awaiting his orders. "We hit them hard, and we hit them fast. Earth may have caught us off guard before, but now we're ready." Zarek turned to his first officer. "Send word to the fleet commanders. The time to strike is now. We'll attack Earth's most critical shipyards, and we'll destroy everything in our path. There will be no mercy." The Empire's fleet, vast and deadly, began to mobilize. Ships of all sizes, dreadnoughts and battleships assembled under Zarek's command, prepared to bring Earth to its knees. Zarek knew the Empire had to win this battle, or its very existence would be threatened. They couldn't allow a planet they had underestimated to continue challenging their dominance. A tense moment for Earth. On Earth, Commander Carter was preparing for the worst. Intelligence had indicated that the Empire was making its move, and this time they would not give up until Earth was completely destroyed. The Phoenix, though repaired, wasn't enough to face the full might of the Empire's fleet. Carter knew that Earth's defenses had to be spread thin across several key areas. "We're going to need to use every advantage we have," Carter said, his voice firm as he addressed his officers. "We've learned how to fight back, but the Empire's response will be overwhelming. We must rely on strategy, deception, and precision." Admiral Rourke nodded. "We'll need to scatter our forces. If we concentrate everything in one place, we'll be wiped out. We need to keep them guessing, make them chase shadows." Carter agreed. "We can't let them know where we're most vulnerable. We'll use feints, decoys, and traps to draw them in, then hit them when they least expect it. Our forces are smaller, but we can still make them pay for every inch they take." As the fleet began to prepare for the coming assault, the tension was palpable. Earth's military forces had come a long way since the first battle, but there was no denying that the Empire's might was still formidable. And the stakes had never been higher. If Earth fell, the entire galaxy would fall under the Empire's control. There was no room for failure. The battle begins. The calm of space shattered as the Empire's fleet arrived in Earth's sector, moving swiftly and without mercy. Hundreds of ships, including massive dreadnoughts, arrived in Earth's space, their weapons primed and ready. Zarek's fleet was overwhelming, and Carter's forces knew they were facing the most dangerous threat to Earth's survival. The first wave of the Empire's ships appeared without warning. The Phoenix was the first to react, its cannons charging up as it prepared to engage the advancing fleet. But Earth's ships were spread thin, and the Empire knew exactly where to strike. The primary target was Earth's shipyards, where new ships were being constructed. Without these facilities, Earth's ability to resist would be crippled. As the Empire's fleet advanced, Carter's ships launched their counteroffensive. The Phoenix fired devastating energy blasts, ripping through the first wave of Imperial fighters. But for every ship that fell, two more took its place. The Empire's numbers were too great, and as the battle raged on, Earth's defenses began to buckle under the pressure. "We can't hold them off much longer," Admiral Rourke said through the comms, his voice strained. "They're hitting us where we're weakest." Carter's face was grim. "We're not done yet. We knew this was coming. Our traps are still in place. Let's use them." With a signal, the human fleet activated their hidden weapons. Decoys exploded into view, drawing the Empire's ships into carefully prepared traps. Explosions rocked the Imperial fleet as they collided with hidden mines and surprise ambushes from smaller Earth vessels. But despite the chaos, the Empire's massive dreadnoughts were not so easily deterred. They unleashed wave after wave of firepower, forcing Earth's fleet into a desperate fight for survival. And just when it seemed like Earth might be overwhelmed, Carter saw something that made his heart race. The Phoenix had not only held its ground, it had pushed forward, cutting through the Empire's ships like a knife through butter. A glimmer of hope. Carter turned to his chief strategist, Commander Zhang. "What's the plan?" Zhang paused, studying the maps and data on his console. We have a window of opportunity. The Empire's fleet is still reeling from the defeat. We can strike at their supply lines, hit them where they're weakest, and force them to fight on our terms. We'll have to move quickly. The room fell silent. The weight of what Carter was proposing was immense. This would be Earth's final chance to end the war once and for all. They could no longer afford to play defense. We go in fast, we hit hard, and we don't stop until they're on the run, Carter said, his voice cutting through the tension in the room. We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for the entire galaxy. The Empire's final assault. The Empire, still reeling from its defeat, was in no mood for mercy. Zarek had gathered his fleet, his forces determined to wipe out the humans once and for all. The time for hesitation was over. Prepare the fleet, Zarek ordered. This will be our final assault on Earth. No more delays. No more excuses. We will crush them. His flagship, the Harbinger, led the charge, surrounded by a massive fleet of dreadnoughts and warships. Their destination, Earth's defenses, the heart of humanity's resistance. The battle began without warning. The Empire's ships flooded into Earth's space, launching a devastating attack on the outer defenses. But this time, Earth was ready. The human fleet, though smaller, was more organized and better equipped than ever before. Their new dreadnoughts were ready for war, and the Phoenix was at the forefront, its weapons primed. The first shots were fired. Explosions lit up the darkness of space as Earth's fleet clashed with the Empire's. The Phoenix was unstoppable, cutting through the Empire's ships with deadly precision. But the Empire's fleet was vast, and their numbers were overwhelming. Earth's forces fought valiantly, but the tide of battle quickly turned against them. We can't hold them off forever, Admiral Rourke said, watching as the Empire's ships closed in on Earth's defenses. We need reinforcements. Carter knew time was running out. We've held them off this long. Now it's time to go for the heart of their fleet. The final push. As Earth's fleet fought tooth and nail to protect their home, Carter ordered a final, desperate strike. He would lead a team of ships to break through the Empire's lines and hit the Harbinger directly. If they could take down the flagship, the rest of the Empire's fleet would fall apart. The Phoenix surged forward, breaking through the enemy lines. Cannon fire filled the space around them as Carter and his crew fought their way toward the Harbinger. They knew it was their last chance to end the war once and for all. Full speed ahead, Carter shouted, his heart racing as the Phoenix moved closer to the heart of the Empire's forces. We take them down now. The Empire's ships tried to retaliate, but the Phoenix was unstoppable. With a single, devastating blast, Earth's flagship struck the Harbinger, tearing through its defenses. Zarek's flagship shook as it took hit after hit, its shields flickering as the Phoenix closed in. Zarek, Carter said, his voice steady, this is the end. With a final, powerful shot, the Phoenix obliterated the Harbinger, sending it spiraling out of control. The destruction of the Empire's flagship sent shockwaves through the entire fleet. Victory at last. As the dust settled, Earth's fleet stood victorious. The remaining Imperial ships, leaderless and in disarray, turned and fled, retreating back into the vastness of space. Earth had won, but the cost had been immense. Carter stood on the bridge of the Phoenix, looking out at the stars. The war had ended, but it had changed everything. Humanity had proven that they were no longer the underdogs in the galaxy. They had fought back, not just with weapons, but with determination, courage, and ingenuity. We did it, Admiral Rourke said, his voice filled with awe. Carter nodded. We did. But now we rebuild. We make sure this never happens again. As Earth's fleet returned to their home planet, the remnants of the Galactic Empire scattered across the stars, defeated and broken. Humanity had emerged from the shadows, stronger than ever before, ready to shape its own destiny.